Right, so we're going to start with the bowl at the top right hand corner of the image. Don't forget you can measure with your pencil if you've printed the image out. Make sure you're looking at how much this line curves. Don't worry about trying to draw it in one line. If you want to use sketchy lines to help you figure out the shape of the bowl, that's fine too. And then I'm going to move down to this arm that you can see on the right hand side under the bowl. And then just going to do the shadow of the eye that comes next to the bowl and down, and the mouth as well. So you can see the mouth and the eye are pretty much joined together. For now we're just going to do the outline. I'll add all the shading in afterwards once we've got all the shapes put in. Then I'm going to move on to this second bowl. So if you look at the image, the top bowl here comes out just a little bit more than this second bowl here. So I'm not going to draw this one quite as wide. Again, if you have printed the image, you want to make sure you're measuring with your pencils. Just going to draw that little finger in there. Bringing the bowl back round, and again the fingers that you can see here. And the edge of that hand as well. So this bowl joins on to the next bowl, so I'm going to work on that one next. And we're not going to worry about the faces for the minute. So again, you've got this thumb, and then that hand curves round. The same curve as the top of the bowl, but just bringing it down a little bit. You want to press quite lightly with your pencil in case you make a mistake. I am pressing a bit harder so that you can see it on this video, but you want to be pressing quite lightly in case you make a mistake and need to rub it out. So you don't want to be making this arm too thin here, you want to think about the thickness of that arm. I'm going to draw the sleeve, and checking the angle that that sleeve comes down at. going to draw a rough curve in there while I work out the curve of the elbow. Again, if you have printed your image off, you can move that just to check that you're in the right area of the page. If you have made any errors that you can see, don't worry about it, just use a rubber to rub it out if you have one. If not, if you press light enough with your pencil, you should be able to go over it and correct it. So now that I've got this outline on this right hand side, I'm going to work on the left hand side of the body. So I'm just going to draw the back upwards and the back of the head. I'm going to use this piece of hair here to help me guide the head round. So this arm, the crease in the elbow that we drew here, I'm going to bring that line up. And we're going to bring that line down. Again, always measuring with your pencil, just to check those proportions. And the way in which you curve the hair is really going to help with how the shape of the head looks at the end. So looking at the direction the lines of the hair are going in. So for now, all we're looking for is the outline. We're not looking at adding any tone or shading, which is where you're going to get the 3D aspect in of the drawing. So we're just going to start on this arm here. Make that sleeve a bit wider. And then this thumb that we drew in here, we're going to move that line down to draw the other side of that arm. So we can now see that there's a bowl to the left of these two bowls that we've drawn. So we're going to draw that in next. So So we're going to look how far down the arm that bowl's coming. And it kind of brushes under the arm as well and joins into this part here. I'm going to draw the underneath section of the bowl now. And then you can see there's a thumb on the edge of that bowl too. So we're going to draw that in. So now we can see on the image that the girl's chin is right next to this bowl. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw up from this head here. So I'm going to draw this extra line in. The chin is going to be at an angle, like this. Just going to make this bowl a bit bigger. And then the chin is going to curve upwards. So you can see that the girl's mouth is just a little bit below the top of this bowl. So I'm going to take my time about drawing this face in, because I want to make sure I'm getting it as accurate as I can. And then the top of the mouth is actually a straight line. So I'm just going to draw this shadow in here, which is what's going to get the face closer to the bowl. So we will shade that in afterwards. Now I'm going to draw this hair in on the side. Draw this line up and around. I'm drawing this nose in here. So I'm not quite happy with this mouth section here, so I'm going to redo this section. And if you make a mistake, not to worry, you can just rub it out or you can go over the lines and start again. It is a complicated image, so you're not always going to get it right first time. I'm not going to worry about the eye for now, I'm just going to worry about the outline of the face for the moment. So I can see here there's like a slight sleeve which is going to be shaded in later, so I'm just going to leave this as a box for now. I know that the face attaches to the side of this line we drew earlier, so I'm going to bring that down to the bowl. I can see that the head comes halfway up the girl's forehead. I'm going to just draw a rough outline of the head here. see that the hair curves. I'm going to bring that down the side of the face for the shadow. And bring that back and around. I'm going to add this lighter shadow in that we're going to shade in later. And then I'm going to bring that round the edge of the face. I'm going to draw a line up here, and I'm going to draw the mouth of the boy. I'm just checking the size of the head. And I'm going to start drawing the nose in. So just very lightly, just trying to figure out where these features go. He is looking up, so it's not as easy to do as if he was looking straight on. See, this eye here is a bit of a curve. And I'm just going to draw that eyelid in there. I'm just going to bring that shadow on that face down a bit. So now that I've drawn the rough outline of the features, I can start to see what's not quite where it should be. So I can see that this mouth should be a lot further down here. So I'm just going to move this a bit further down. And I'm going to move that nose down a bit further as well. So I'll work into that face more when I come back to do the shading. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the nose that you can see in this shadow. And this other eye in as well. And then the bowl at the back of this head. So now that I've got my rough outline, I'm going to start working into this with the shading. I'm going to work dark to light. So I'm just going to start on these darker sections here. So to avoid smudging my drawing, I'm going to work from the top downwards as much as possible. So if you've got an area that's curved, like this mouth here, You're going to follow the contour lines, so curving your shading as well, rather than going straight across. Doesn't matter if your shading is too light, you can go back over that and change it. It's better to do it lighter and make it darker than it is to go too dark and not be able to change it. So I'm just going to start to add some shading to this bowl. So these are quite sketchy drawings, so I'm going to be quite quick about my shading as much as I can, while still remaining neat and controlled about what I'm doing. I'm going to look at the finer details, so the lines that are on this bowl. So once I've done that, I'm going to move across to this bowl here. I'm just adding this shading in. I'm moving across to the hair. I'm not going to go quite as dark as the image at the moment, just till I'm sure of the outline being correct. So I'll go back over that when I'm happy with how it looks. So I'm following the shape of this curve here to do my shading. I'm going to start to shade in this eye here. I'm going to shade in the other eye. I'm going to go a bit more defined on the edge of this nose, bringing the nostril down and shading that in, and shading the other nostril in as well. I'm just adding that curve in under there. I'm also going to make this line a bit more defined. And now I think I'm okay on this side to go over this a bit darker. So I'm then going to shade this nose a bit more on this side here. And round this eye. to start to add in these little hairs. Just we're doing some fine lines. And then adding in this shading around the edge of the face. Again, I'm just following the curve of the face. I'm just adding some really light tone into this side here and under the eye to make that more defined. Move on to the edge of this bowl. And bringing that down. Loads of shadow in there. I'm just going to make these eyes a little bit darker. And then moving on to this head here, so I'm just going to make this line darker, the curve of the nose, and then adding that shadow in there. Add that line down, and adding in the shadow of the mouth. I'm also going to add in this eye, so I can see that the line starts where the curve of the nose starts, and that it's a straight line down. And then I'm just adding in the side of that pupil there. I'm going to make that line a bit thicker. And add some shading underneath there. And carry on with the side of this face and the top of the head. So I'm just adding some shading in here. Shading the hair. If you have any white space, like this section here on the image, you want to make sure you're leaving that white as well. So keep looking back at your image. You want to make it as accurate as you possibly can.